But the bigger worry is the debt ceiling crisis.
Now, the debt limit time bomb is ticking for the Biden administration.
And the U.S. reached its debt limit yesterday. The U.S. could default on its debt for the first time ever.
Revenue from this tax season has fallen short of expectations. And
reasonable is what President Biden has.
We're all well aware of the ticking time bomb that has been looming over the United States of America, the debt ceiling. This bomb comes with layers and layers of a complex web of numbers, policies, and potential consequences. Stick with us till the end of this video as we unravel the mystery behind America's greatest default risk. Brace yourself for an eye-opening adventure as we break down to you the U.S. debt ceiling and its far-reaching implications. All right, without further ado, we're about to go into detail on all the updates we have received so far about the debt ceiling. Republican Rep. Ken Buck told CNN that he and his GOP colleagues don't feel threatened by the prospect of a government default and think a deal to increase the country's borrowing limit would be reached at the very last minute. I don't think there's a panic. We've done this so many times with the budget and the omnibus. People like drama, the Colorado Republican told CNN. There's not a panic for me, and I don't hear that from any of my friends. While Buck doesn't believe the Republican conference is overly concerned that House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and President Joe Biden won't be able to reach a deal before the June 1st deadline of a potential default, he added that there's a sense that we may not have the same Memorial Day weekend that we thought we would. Buck added, I don't think we're in a worse situation now than we were 3 weeks ago. I think McCarthy has done a fantastic job during discussions. I believe that's advantageous for Republicans. It's fantastic not to be held accountable for anything at the moment. A hint of the difficulties Speaker Kevin McCarthy will face in securing support from his right flank over whatever deal he strikes with President Joe Biden is a warning from prominent House conservatives against caving into the White House during debt ceiling negotiations. Members of the extreme right-wing House Freedom Caucus requested that McCarthy cease talking to Biden and work to get the GOP package that was approved by the House last month ratified by the Senate. According to certain members, McCarthy must reject any agreement that weakens their agenda. They also cautioned McCarthy against introducing a bill that might be supported by most Democrats, but lose the backing of the majority of House Republicans. Rep. Scott Perry, the lead of the House Freedom Caucus, remarked of the Senate, "That side over there is the one that hasn't passed anything, and you continue to inquire about our tolerance levels. What we passed last month is what we're willing to accept. We did so because of that. You keep asking us what we want to do and what we'll take despite the fact that they haven't passed anything. What we're not okay with," Perry continued, "is them just whining about what we passed, having contributed nothing to the table, and then asking that we take less when they're offering nothing. Nothing to resolve this has been proposed by them." Another member of the House Freedom Caucus from Virginia, Rep. Bob Good, stated that the Senate must approve the House plan. The Speaker is doing his obligation to speak for the House majority. With the reforms and savings we have in place, we could raise the debt ceiling with 217 votes. And I believe he is aware of what the majority of his conference is. We still believe that the Senate must approve the House legislation, Good added. It would be troublesome if McCarthy had to rely on Democrats and the majority of the House Republicans opposed a debt ceiling bill, according to Rep. Brian Donalds, another conservative member of the group. If the majority of the majority is not happy, would Nancy Pelosi ever do that? Nope, he said. In order to bypass House GOP leadership and force a vote on raising the debt ceiling, House Democratic leaders intend to start talking to a handful of House Republicans about signing a discharge petition. We must decide that we will never ever default. After House Speaker Kevin McCarthy meets with President Joe Biden on Monday evening, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries told reporters that the discharge petition is one tool at our disposal to accomplish that. We'll need 5 or 6 Republicans to join us who insist that we'll never permit a default to occur. And if they did, we can, if necessary, find a way out of this contrived catastrophe. The Democratic leadership will be reaching out and saying to a few of our colleagues, "Come join us." The House Minority Whip Catherine Clark continued, "Come defend the people of America." Jeffries declared earlier this month that his party had completed a crucial procedural step that would allow House Democrats to put up a discharge petition. To compel a floor vote, a discharge petition must receive the backing of the majority of House members. The high bar that must be met makes it challenging for applications for discharge to be granted. Rep. Patrick McHenry of North Carolina, who served as House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's principal negotiator in the debt ceiling talks, characterized the discussions as difficult. "I'm worried about the impacts on the market. I think playing brinkmanship is not wise when it comes to where we are with the banking system, with the economy. And I think we should have a sense of urgency from the White House team that was not evident in the meeting. McHenry told reporters at the Capitol. This is the moment where cooler heads need to prevail, and we need to come to terms and do so rapidly as we possibly can. In stark contrast to Speaker Kevin McCarthy's tone following his meeting with President Joe Biden, House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries raised concerns about the way the debt ceiling negotiations are taking place on Monday evening. Jeffries' position is crucial because whatever agreement McCarthy strikes with the White House will almost definitely require the support of House Democrats. The New York Democrat frequently referred to the GOP as extreme MAGA Republicans who are taking unreasonable attitudes and missing the authority of their slim majority at a hastily convened news conference on the Capitol steps. In particular, Jeffries criticized the GOP for rejecting a White House agreement to maintain existing levels of domestic spending. Instead, Republicans want to increase spending to levels seen in prior years and put a cap on it for a number of years. They have dismissed the idea that President Biden could be open to considering expenditure cuts. It will erase $1 trillion from the deficit. The far-right MAGA Republicans claim to desire this. That has been rejected, he stated. Jeffries has frequently declined to indicate whether House Democrats would agree to a spending reduction as proposed by McCarthy. He also criticized Republicans for their insistence on work requirements for Social Safety Net programs. Their push to roll back some of the provisions in the Inflation Reduction Act that Democrats passed during the previous Congress, and their demands for provisions to make it easier to permit energy projects. Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, said his meeting with President Joe Biden was more productive than the other meetings, and that staff members will meet through the night to put a deal together. We continue to disagree. We agreed to have the staff get back together and work through the night, knowing where some of the differences are, to see if there are any additional solutions we can find, he told reporters outside the Capitol. McCarthy reiterated that there are currently no firm agreements despite the approaching default deadline, but nonetheless regarded the meeting as fruitful. We discussed our differences of opinion and positions in detail. Therefore, in my opinion, that is productive, not progress, but fruitfully added. However, when asked why he would force his employees to work through the night if there was no agreement, he expressed hope that a final agreement may still be reached. I don't think we would agree to talks if we saw it wasn't productive and that we couldn't come to an agreement. I actually believe at the end of the day we can come to an agreement, so that's why we're together. Why? Why it was productive today. We are too close to give up, McCarthy added. And there you have it. Those were all the latest statements made on the debt ceiling. Before you go, we'd love to hear your opinions on this in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed the video and found it informative, make sure you smash that like button. Subscribe to our channel and click on that tiny bell icon on the side to stay notified and updated on all of our upcoming content. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.